Okay, so why is gold such a big deal? Like, it's just this shiny yellow metal you dig up from the ground, right? There are tons of other pretty rocks out there. Why value gold over them?
Great question. Yeah, at first glance, gold looks like any other sparkly thing from nature. But let's think about what makes it stand out. Imagine you're out hunting for treasures as a kid, picking up stones by a river. Most of those stones, they rust or fade after a while, getting all dull and crumbly. Gold doesn't do that. It stays bright and shiny forever, no matter what. Doesn't tarnish like silver or iron. That's one reason people noticed it early on.
Huh, so it doesn't rust or anything? That sounds kind of useful, but still, it's not like you can build a house with it or eat it.
Exactly. It's not super practical for everyday tools like making a hammer or a plow. But here's the cool part. Gold is really rare. You know how finding a four-leaf clover is tough? Gold's like that, but way harder. It's scattered deep in the earth and only tiny bits show up on the surface. Most metals are more common. You can find copper or iron in big chunks pretty easily. Gold, not so much. That scarcity makes it special right away. Plus, it's soft and easy to shape. You can melt it down, hammer it into jewelry or coins without it breaking. Ancient folks loved that. They could turn a lump into something beautiful without fancy tools.
Rare and easy to work with. Okay, that makes sense why it caught people's eye. But isn't that just because it's pretty? Like, diamonds are rare too, but we don't use them for everything.
Pretty is part of it, sure. Humans are drawn to shiny things. It's wired into us, like how birds collect bright feathers. But gold's appeal goes deeper. Think about your grandma's old necklace that's been passed down for generations. It still looks new, right? No scratches or fading. Other rocks might crack or lose color over time. Gold's durability means it holds up as a keepsake or trade item. And because it's rare, not everyone can just grab a handful. That creates value, something people want but can't easily get.
I get that. Like, if everyone's got something, it's not special anymore. But what about all those other shiny rocks? Why not value quartz or something just as much?
Quartz is pretty, but it's everywhere. You can fill a bucket with it on a hike. Gold, one lifetime might not even find a speck. And shaping quartz is tricky. It shatters if you're not careful. Gold bends and molds like Play-Doh when heated. Early people tested stuff like that. They'd try bending rocks and most snapped. Gold won out because it was reliable. Remember the story of King Midas? He wished everything he touched turned to gold, not because it was useless, but because it symbolized endless wealth. That's how folks saw it, a metal that lasts and looks amazing.
Yeah, the Midas story is wild. So basically, gold's combo of rarity, shine that never dies, and easy shaping made it better than other rocks. That totally clicks now.
You've got it. It's not just looks, it's practical magic in a metal. But that leads to something interesting. Once people saw those qualities, they started wondering how to use it beyond jewelry.
Beyond jewelry? Like, what, turning it into tools or something? But you said it's soft. Wouldn't that make it kind of useless for that?
Not tools, no. Too soft for chopping wood or plowing fields. But here's where it gets really smart. Ancient people, way back in places like Mesopotamia or Egypt, started using gold for trading. Imagine bartering with your friends. You trade a toy car for candy. What if the candy spoils or the car breaks? Frustrating, right? They needed something better than perishable stuff like food or fragile shells. Shells were common back then. Pretty, sure, but they crack easily if you drop them. And not everyone agreed they were worth the same amount everywhere.
Yeah, shells sound messy for trade. Like, how do you even carry a bunch without them breaking? So gold fixed that?
Spot on. Gold's durable. It doesn't crack, rot, or wear out. You could pass a gold coin from hand to hand for centuries, and it'd still look good. That's huge for trade. Think about early markets. A farmer trades grain for a gold nugget. Later, that nugget gets melted into smaller bits, divided up fairly. Gold's divisible, like slicing a pizza into even pieces without ruining it. Shells? Try breaking one in half without smashing it to dust. And portability. Gold's dense, so a small pouch holds a lot of value. No need for a wagon full of rocks or feathers to equal one gold bar.
Divisible and portable. Okay, that beats lugging around a pile of cowrie shells or whatever, but weren't there easier things? Like, rocks are everywhere, and people use them sometimes.
Rocks were used, yeah, but most aren't uniform. One rock might be big as your fist, another tiny. How do you agree that's fair trade for a goat? Gold could be weighed or measured precisely. And here's the kicker. It's universally appealing. Not every culture loves the same shell or stone. In Africa, cowrie shells were currency. In the Americas, people use cacao beans. But gold, it's shown the same way for everyone, from river traders in China to pharaohs in Egypt. That universal draw made it a trusted go-to. Picture a marketplace where folks from different villages meet. They might argue over bead values, but gold's glow and rarity, instant agreement. No haggling over, is this shell as good as that one?
Universal appeal. Kind of like how everyone wants a smartphone today, no matter where they're from. So it became like the original money because it checked all those boxes. Lasts forever, splits easily, easy to carry, and everyone digs it.
Exactly. It's like nature's perfect trade token. Early societies ditched uneven stuff like rocks or shells because gold made deals smoother and fairer. No spoilage, no arguments over quality. That reliability turned it into money long before coins even existed. People just traded weighed lumps. Remember the Silk Road? Traders hauled gold across deserts because they knew it'd hold value at the other end, unlike bulky spices that might rot.
The Silk Road. Yeah, I've heard of that. Makes sense why they'd pick something reliable like gold over, say, salt or cloth that could get ruined. I guess that's why it stuck around as currency.
You nailed it. Gold's those traits made it the king of trade items, building trust across generations and borders. But even with all that, people wonder if it always stays steady.
Steady? Like, what if tough times hit, like a big fight or money problems? Does gold still matter then?
Oh, it absolutely does. Gold shines brightest when everything else feels shaky. Think about it like this. Imagine your family's savings in a piggy bank full of paper bills. If a big storm hits the economy, like a war or a market crash, those bills can lose their power overnight. Governments might print too much money, causing inflation where a loaf of bread suddenly costs a fortune. We've seen that happen, like in Germany after World War I. People wheeled barrows of cash just to buy groceries. Paper money's value crashes because it's easy to make more of it. But gold, it's different. No one's just printing it in a factory. It's locked away in the earth, scarce as a hidden treasure chest.
Scarce, yeah. You mentioned that before. So because there's not a ton of it, it doesn't lose worth like paper?
Right on the money, pun intended. Gold's supply is limited, and it grows super slowly. All the gold ever mined in history could fit into a few Olympic swimming pools. That's tiny compared to how much cash banks churn out. During tough times like the Great Depression in the 1930s, banks failed and stocks tanked, but people rushed to gold because they trusted it wouldn't vanish. It's like that reliable old bike in the garage. Might not be flashy, but it gets you where you need to go when the fancy car's broken down. Governments even backed currencies with gold standards back then to keep things stable.
Gold standard? Like tying money to gold so it can't go wild?
Exactly. Countries like the U.S. used it until the 1970s. It acted as a brake on wild spending. Now, even without that, gold's seen as a, quote, store of value, something you stash away knowing it'll hold or even gain worth over time. Take the 2008 financial crash. Banks were crumbling, homes losing value left and right. What happened? Gold prices shot up from about $800 an ounce to over $1,900 in a few years. People sold stocks and bonds, buying gold as a safe haven. It's not affected by one country's problems, it's global. Wars too, like during World War II, folks in Europe buried gold coins in their backyards because they knew armies could burn factories or devalue currencies. But gold would still buy food or freedom later.
Whoa, burying it in backyards? That's intense. So it's like an emergency blanket for your money. Doesn't catch fire or get soaked.
Perfect analogy. And it's a hedge against inflation, that sneaky thief that eats your savings. If prices double because of too much printed money, gold usually keeps pace or beats it. Look at Venezuela recently. Hyperinflation turned their cash worthless, but those who had gold could trade it for basics. Not everyone has a vault, sure, but even small gold jewelry holds power in crises. It's earned that trust over 5,000 years because it doesn't rely on promises from banks or leaders who might bail.
5,000 years. That's longer than any video game franchise. Okay, I see why it sticks around when paper flops. But what if suddenly we dig up a mountain of it? Wouldn't that mess everything up?
That's a sharp worry. And it's not crazy. History's full of what-if moments like that. Remember the California gold rush in the 1840s? Folks flocked west, digging up tons of nuggets. And yeah, prices dipped for a bit because more gold hit the market. But here's the thing, it didn't crash everything. Why? Mining gold isn't like scooping sand at the beach. It's brutal, expensive work. You need heavy machines, chemicals, and teams of experts to pull even a tiny amount from deep underground or rocky rivers. 1 ounce of gold can cost thousands to extract. Think drilling miles into mountains, blasting with dynamite, and sifting through mountains of dirt just to find flakes.
Expensive and hard. So even if we find a big vein, it's not like we can just flood the world with it overnight.
Exactly. It's slow as molasses. New discoveries, like that huge find in South Africa a century ago, take years to turn into actual gold bars. Governments and companies pour billions into mines, but the process drags on. Permits, environmental rules, and tech limits keep it paced. And globally, reserves are finite. Experts estimate there's only about 50,000 tons left to mine at current rates, mostly in tough spots like deep oceans or remote deserts. All the gold dug up since forever, it'd fill 3 big pools tops. Compare that to silver or copper. Way more abundant, easier to ramp up. Flood the market? Sure, prices might wiggle, like they did when Spain shipped boatloads from the Americas in the 1500s, causing some inflation. But gold's value bounced back because demand stays high. Jewelry in India, tech and phones, and folks buying it as backup savings.
Bounce back. Okay, so the hassle of getting it keeps supply tight, even with big finds. But if it's so pricey to mine, doesn't that just make the gold more expensive anyway?
Smart catch. Yeah, those costs do factor in, but they also protect the value. High mining expenses mean no one's dumping cheap gold everywhere. It's like rare sneakers. Limited drops keep prices up because fakes or knockoffs can't match the real deal easily. If gold got too common, sure, value could slide. But nature's stingy. We've mapped the planet with satellites and drills. No endless supplies hiding. Central banks hoard it too. Over 35,000 tons in vaults worldwide, treating it like a global safety net. That all adds friction against sudden floods.
Central banks hoarding like they're guarding the treasure. I guess that explains why it doesn't just become worthless like fool's gold or something.
Spot on. Fool's gold looks shiny but crumbles under pressure, while real gold endures. So even with tech advances, like better underwater robots, the pace stays controlled. Prices might fluctuate, up in booms, down a tad in busts, but the core value holds because supply can't explode. It's earned its spot over millennia, not by accident, but by being that tough-to-get gem in a world of easy grabs. You've pieced it all together now, from why it's prized over rocks to trading smarts, crisis proofing, and this supply shield. Gold's not invincible, but it's as close as nature gets to a steady bet.
Yeah, it all connects. No more digging up mountains to ruin the party. It's built to last. Thanks for breaking it down. I feel way smarter about this shiny stuff now.